Good afternoon. Welcome to BYJU'S exam prep. Welcome to this session on XAT. Before we start off, we wish you all a very, very happy new year. Have a wonderful year ahead from everyone at Team BYJU'S. We are looking at this year's or the year's first big exam, the second biggest exam for MBA entrances after CAT, that is XAT 2024, which is on Jan 7th, only 4-5 days away. So what are you supposed to do at this stage? Please sit back, relax and watch. Okay? Just sit back. You've done all your preparation. So I'm going to just show you a couple of questions, discuss them. Hello Harsh. And then you'll say, ये तो मुझे पता है. ये भी मुझे पता है. अच्छा, ये पता नहीं है. I need to work on this. A little, not too much, because there are 4-5 days left, so you really need to relax at this time and go over some of the last minute preps, which is what we are doing. All right. Hello Mayur. So now this is the general pattern, right? Somewhere here and there, there might be, somebody can take para completion as a part of CR. Reading comprehension, 4 passages, 3 questions each is a given. Poem is a little iffy. There are times when they have given 2 poems with 3 questions, that is 1 poem with 2 questions and 1 with 1. Some years there have been no poems, but generally 2 or 3 questions on poems. So we will look at a poem today because poems are easy. Okay, and if they are difficult also, you don't waste much time reading it. That is why I tell students, don't run away the moment you see a poem. Just look at the last year's XAT question paper and solve it. All right, no other strategy. And whatever strategy sessions have been taken by Gautam and Gaurav, please look at that. They have done a fantastic analysis. These are people who strategize to the best possible, in the best possible manner. You are asking somebody who is going to tell you VARC kar lo, don't worry about the other section. No, I won't tell you that, but yeah, generally these people are good at all sections. So Gautam or Gaurav will tell you how to do it. I know they have taken a couple of very good sessions. I expect Gautam to take another session before that, 24 hours or 48 hours. He'll be there and telling you what to do. Please follow that. All right, they're people with experience who've aced the test. I have aced the VARC section only, the VALR section only. Isme kya karna hai, I'll tell you. Solve if you want. Your basic preparation is done. Only if you want a couple of days, do a little bit of practice. Work out preposition based fill in the blanks. Article based fill in the blanks, but more important is preposition based fill in the blanks. If you are weak at, let's say, assumption or weakening questions in critical reasoning, maybe do a couple. That is as far as VLR is concerned. Work on confused words where vocabulary is concerned. You cannot really outguess the examiner in terms of vocabulary. And when you look at FIB vocabulary based, which is asked in CAT, in XAT, sometimes they give you confused words. Sometimes they give you a passage only based on usage, and your knowledge of words is not important. It's only usage which is important. So you don't know who is setting the paper. So prepare for all kinds of FIBs because you can do them quickly, right? There'd be 2 grammar-based questions, one based on other aspects of grammar, modifiers, tenses, redundancy and others, and there is one based on prepositions. This has been the pattern the last couple of years at least. All right, so that's what you're going to look at. Now, the RC section, this particular passage I have chosen because a lot of students have asked me quite a lot of doubts about this passage. Just remember, XAT RCs, I can compare them to Indian batsmen, okay? They are short and they are full of power. Well, we're not talking of what happened to the first test, but generally, our greatest Indian batsmen have not been the taller guys. You have Gavaskar, my favorite, Tendulkar. I thought after Sunil Gavaskar, there will not be another favorite till Sachin Tendulkar came on scene. Then Rahul Dravid, who cannot be called short. But generally what I'm saying is they are dynamites, okay? But at the same time, out of 3 questions, you can answer at least 2. So a shorter passage, the advantage is that you can answer some questions at least. The passages are tough to read. The answer options are ambiguous, and in some questions we can argue till eternity that B ही होगा, official answer की C दिया है. So that is something you have to live with as far as that is concerned. Having said that, I think XAT is a much fairer exam than CAT. It gives you time to answer your questions, which is why I think it's a fair exam. It's not a speed game that the moment you think, you say, oh my god, one question I can't answer. That's why it's a fair, and it tests everything. It tests reading comprehension, it tests reasoning. So I feel it's a fair exam. DM is very subjective, but then decisions are subjective. You can't criticize them about that. It is my favorite. I like it. All right, let's start. Okay, quickly read this passage in this slide in 30 to 40 seconds. Done with the first slide. Let's move on to the next. Read it. We'll look at the first question, then I'll summarize it for you. Again, 45 seconds to read the slide. All right. Now, what was the passage about? What is the main point of the passage? Quickly tell me, type it in for me. What are the points that you remember in the 45, 1.5 minutes? You took 2 minutes, let's say, in reading the passage. What are some of the points you remember? Quickly put it across for me. Something about bacteria, right? About communication in bacteria through bioluminescence, which happens only when there are sufficient number of bacteria around. Mathematical competence of humans and animals. All right? Okay, that's it. Is it hard? How would you, in terms of reading, how would you categorize this passage? Easy, moderate, difficult? In terms of reading, just padke, this is the first passage you come across. Are you going to attempt it? Are you going to say, oh, let me move on? 3 question after, I'll click after to the 4th question. It's of moderate level difficulty because it's a science-based passage. The good news about science-based passages, the language cannot get more difficult than this. Unlike politics, international relations, political theory, philosophy, where they add conditions and conditions, these are straightforward sentences. So the questions will most of the time be direct. But because it is that, the first question asks you, where is my pen? Let me get the... Which of the following cannot be inferred from the passage? Do you need... MHCET का लाइव सेशन तो आज नहीं था, होगा बाद में होगा. All right, my Hindi is not the greatest. All right, I'm trying to answer. Acha, which of the following cannot be inferred? Do you need to go back to the passage for this? Ancestors of Homo sapiens exploited resources in groups. Ancestors of Homo sapiens used numerical competence. Ancestors of Homo sapiens sensed numbers. Ancestors of Homo sapiens hunted in groups. Ancestors of Homo sapiens interacted solely using numbers. Vishal marks option E without going back to the passage. Why are you confident of your answer? Is it a lock kiya jaye answer? I'm still suffering from the hangover of KBC. Because you know these are extreme words. Now, also in the first paragraph, all right, now let's go back to the passage. In the first paragraph, you would have seen that there are multiple situations in which we consider and we use numerical information. So life without numbers is inconceivable. What is the benefit of numerical competence for our ancestors before they became Homo sapiens? Why do animals crunch numbers in the first place? So he was asking what was the benefit of numerical competence for our ancestors, means that numerical competence benefited them. They were using numbers. Then he goes to talking about several studies examined animals in their ecological environments, which represent number enhances an animal's ability to exploit food resources. Hello Shailendra. Hunt, prey, avoid predation, navigate in its habitat, and persist in social interaction. These are all areas where numbers help. Being in numbers helps. Being in a group helps. Before numerically competent animals evolved on the planet, single-cell microscopic bacteria already also used quantitative information. So the entire passage after that says they need not be dependent, but the fact is that they used it. What was the benefit of numerical competence for our ancestors? So the assumption is that numerical competence was beneficial. If you say it is beneficial, how do you know it's beneficial? Assumption is that was there. If you say this is beneficial for us, how do you know it's beneficial for us unless you use it? So the assumption is you have used the benefit. That is the assumption, Vishal, and that's how assumptions work. All right. Then he tells you how bacteria use numbers. He gives the example of the marine bacterium Vibrio fischeri, which uses a special property to give off light, which is used by bacteria to sense the number of bacteria that are around. So the answer here is easily, all are saying A, but well, it's E. It's very easy because of the use of solely, and all others we've read in the first paragraph, right? Question 2. Which one of the following best defines quorum sensing in bacteria? If you know the answer, go to the option. This is A, this is B, this is C. From its position, you know which is what. All right. If you don't, this is a question because you read for the first time, you read quickly. If you don't remember it, always a good idea to go back to where quorum sensing has been given. When bacteria want to communicate cell number, they use a chemical language. They secrete communication molecules, and the concentration of these molecules in the water increases in proportion to the cell number. When the molecule hits a certain number called a quorum, then it tells other bacteria. So that number, the threshold number and that particular concentration tells other bacteria how many bacteria they are in the neighborhood, in their vicinity, and all bacteria grow. This behavior is called quorum sensing. Oh, sorry. Option A, all right. See, again, even if you didn't read the passage, how would you go about saying Bacteria communicate only in numerical terms. Bacteria don't communicate beyond certain numbers. At a particular number, they communicate. Doesn't mean when they grow beyond that particular number, they don't communicate. Bacteria chat only when they are in group. Bacteria multiply only till they reach. So all other options have one extreme word for which you don't even have to cross-check the passage. Don't have to refer to the passage. One is easy. All right. They respond when they discern, when they can make out that there are enough numbers of bacteria around them. All right. Which of the following is not based on the premise of the passage? What is the premise of the passage? If you can put it down in a number, what is the premise of the passage? Even otherwise you can. What is the number of the passage? Let me just shut this. Which is not based. What is the premise of the passage? Quickly, somebody tell me. Numerical competence. In other words, what does numerical competence mean? Strength in number. Strength in numbers. Doing things in numbers. Right? Security in numbers, something like that. Then, which of these are talking about numerical competence? Which of these is talking about numbers as a demonstration of strength, as a demonstration of security, and which one is not? You have to identify which one is not. People protest in large numbers because it helps them get their voices heard. No one can whistle a symphony. It takes a whole orchestra to play it. To de-escalate border tension, countries carry out mirror deployment. Whatever the number of troops on your side, I will have an equal number of troops on my side. That's called mirror deployment. Politicals rally with numbers to woo their undecided voters. Teams fear a red card as it would present an advantage for the opponents. Which ones here show the advantage of having more? Which one here does not show anything about an advantage of having more people? That's all you have to see. Red card, you're playing a team of 12 versus a team of 11 makes a big difference. In cricket or in football, team of 12 versus 10, oh my God, biggest problem for football teams. So that is strength in numbers. Politicians show strength in numbers. Mirror deployment, you got 10,000 troops, I've got 100,000. No, I've got equal number of troops, 1:1. All right, large numbers, strength in numbers. Only thing is the nature of a symphony is that you need different instruments put together. That's all. It is the nature of the symphony. It doesn't mean the symphony becomes better if you have more players, more musicians, more musical instruments. Therefore, the correct answer is B. You can't do it alone. Here it is not about you can't do it alone. Here it is the more the better. Got it? Alright, this is the question which troubled a lot of people. Alright, let's look at a poem. Again, I've chosen a poem which many of you have read only because I look at a question that I want to discuss in the last minute depending on the number of doubts and questions people ask about it. Now, when you get a poem, I know the natural tendency of all of us is to run in the opposite direction. Kavita likhta hai, run away. Kavita sunata hai, then run away even more. But if it is given to you in an exam, nobody can force you to read a poem. That is because they killed the very idea of poetry in school by making us analyze a poem. If you ask me, poems should be read, enjoyed for the sake of somebody wants to say something, he doesn't want to say it in the form of an article, he writes short sentences. Maybe uses some kind of, it's basically the best way to express your emotion. If you understand and connect with the emotion of the poet, that's all. Sometimes your interpretation would be very different from mine, which is where that comes in. So they know the subjectivity involved in interpretation. But We are not going into that. You and I are lay people. We are not literature masters or PhDs in literature. We are here just to see there are certain words here. Do I understand those words? Can I answer questions based on those words? Of course you can. You understand English. I understand English. There's no more to it than that. If there is a question that you cannot answer, please move on, because you don't take too much time to read this. Kitna time lagega isko padhne mein? By the time I spoke, you've already read it. Some say the world will end in fire. Some say the world will end in ice. So we are talking of the end of the world. Some people say fire. Some people say ice. From what I have tasted of desire, from my experience of desire, the yearning for something, I favor fire. So the poet says, I think the world will end with fire, in fire. But if the world had to end twice, not once, ek bar to khatam ho gaya. If you give me a second chance and the world had to end twice, I know there is enough of hate to know that for destruction, ice is also great. So what is ice? Fire is desire. What is ice? Ice is hate. Ice can also be equally destructive, and it is enough to end the world. Negative, very negative. Which of the following statements would the poet agree with the most? Desire, hate. Desire is yearning for anything. So think of all the synonyms of desire, think of all the synonyms of hate. You have the question in your control. Desire overpowers hatred to control humans. Did he say that desires is more than hatred? He says some say desire, some say hate. I tend to think with fire and desire. I tend to think. Doesn't mean desire overpowers hate. Alright, now I have seen an answer for he. Hatred destroys what desire cannot. Kahan likha gaya hai cannot? If the world had to end twice, author thinks the world will end with fire or desire. But if you tell me there is a second chance, if it had to end twice, then there is enough hatred around. So he thinks desire will end the world. He doesn't say whatever is left of the earth after desire ends it will be ended by hatred. वो नहीं बोला है. So this is not the correct answer. Some people have said D. Where is the question of self-doubt? Where is the question of self-doubt? He has not said anything about self-doubt. He said, I will say the world will end because of desire. Some people think it will end because of ice or hate. But I can tell you that if the world had to end a second time, then hate will definitely, there is enough hatred to destroy it. So this is also not correct. Ambition is more powerful than envy. Ambition can be equivalent to desire, but envy and hatred are not the same thing. Envy is a very tepid form of hatred. Greed, here, your desire for wealth is what? I told you, know the synonym of desire. Desire is you want more and more money. What is greed? Greed is nothing but desire for money. So it is fire or desire or greed that will, greed is symbol of people's desire. So B is the correct answer. Clear? Alright. Now, suppose you couldn't answer. For some reason, you couldn't answer the question. Now, remember, I think the question setter started making a suitable title. Okay? Question papers go through iterations. The second guy must have looked at it and said, Yaar, B kyun nahi hoga? This is what happens in our mocks. Okay? In our effort to try to make two options very close, they become almost identical that both are correct. Then my colleague will ask me, ye nahi hoga. If you can't convince me between B and C, please don't give option C. Then somebody else will say D is also looking closer. He changed the title. All of them can be inferred except bana dete hain and make one which is a little far out. I think that is what happened with this guy. Suitable title I have seen. Unsuitable title I have never seen except in this particular year. Which one doesn't? Now here make it elimination of options, choices nahi hoga. They're very, very close to each other. Love and detest. Love is desire. Detest is hatred. A tale of destruction. Dono, they can both end the world. The annihilation hypothesis, how the world will end. Hypothesis is theories on how the world will end. This also is good. Emotional destruction of the world. Now, is the author saying the world will be emotionally destroyed, or is the author saying the world will be destroyed by the emotion or whatever is called greed or by hatred? It is not so do you realize the ambiguity of the option emotional destruction of the world? This to definitely this to how will the world end? This why is C? Because it means that somebody who is totally broken emotionally would say, let's say you're coming out of a bad relationship, you would say, you know what, I am so vulnerable, I am emotionally destroyed. But physically you're there. Is the author talking that the world will be destroyed? Is the world an entity which has an emotion? No, it is talking about emotions that can destroy the world, really destroy the world. It's talking of real destruction. It's not talking of emotional destruction. Emotions that can destroy the world is not the same as emotional destruction. Got it? Therefore, the unsuitable title is C. All right. Chosen one of the toughest poems because it can't get tougher than this. If you could read this and you can, and as I said, at the end of it, when you see it and you say, "Dono nahi aayega, humse nahi hoga," then you move on. You've wasted only 2 minutes or 5 minutes, 4 minutes max, which is not much. That's why I tell you, look at the poem, try to figure out whatever you can, maybe even guess between two options. You say, "Ha, ye ho sakta hai." You know, 1 or 2 questions you are allowed to guess. It should not be a wild guess, but some questions you can guess. Like whenever I do a XAT paper, that's what I tell myself, hoga. And I only mark the questions that I'm guessing, okay? I don't mark all the questions. I mark the ones that I know, like for example, prepositions and the vocabulary ones I won't. But the questions in decision making, I want to challenge myself, go to the toughest decision making case and then see. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if it's a literal meaning or a symbolic meaning. Even the literal one can be a title. Okay. The passage just tells you, the title should tell you the story of the passage. Is the author talking about fire and ice? Yes, he is. He is later telling you what he means by fire and what he means by ice. Clear? Alright, now we come to CR. Now, the CR, number of CR questions change from 3 to 5 to 7. But I keep telling you, if you do well in CR, you'll automatically do well in RC. So the CR skills are important. Again, there are many types of CR questions. Assumption, inference, strengthening, weakening, resolve the paradox. What is the method of argumentation used by the author? The last few years, XAT has been giving mostly inference-based questions. Mostly inference-based questions. And in our classes, we have done every type of question. Correct? An assumption is the basis of a conclusion. So identify the conclusion and whatever is the basis of that conclusion, the option that has all the terms of the conclusion and which has to be true for the conclusion to be true is an assumption. A strengthening question generally say which of the following, if true, would strengthen or support the conclusion most. It looks like another premise. A weaken the conclusion option. Remember, weaken the argument means weaken the conclusion. Again, identify the conclusion and look at something which says your conclusion is not drawn from the premises or is wrong. These are the 3 main types that you get. Suppose they ask a method. I have given a method question. What you need to do is break up the argument given to you into parts. So the first part, you look at it and say, what is he doing? Based on that, he is drawing a conclusion. So that is an evidence. This is a conclusion. That's how you have to talk to yourself and do the method questions. All right. Question 6. Please read the argument. History if viewed as a repository, not merely of anecdotes or chronology, could produce a decisive transformation in the image of science by which we are now possessed. What is the first line saying? If you look at history in a different way, not just as a repository of anecdotes and chronology, if you look at the history of science, it could transform the image of science. Always restate the argument so that you simplify it and you understand it. So what is he saying? History of science. If you view the history of science in another manner, you perceive the history or perception of the history of science is different, not just as anecdotes and chronology, then that change in the way you look at the history of science will change the image of science. Clear? Second, that image had previously been drawn even by scientists themselves, mainly from the study of finished scientific achievements as those that are recorded in the classics and more recently in the textbooks. So that image of science as a collection of anecdotes and chronology was recorded by scientists in finished scientific achievements and in books. View this history in a different manner and the image of science will, if you view the history of science in a different manner, the image of science will be automatically transformed. Easy. 2 questions based on it. Which one summarizes the above paragraph best? Summary is always a recap of the main point as you rephrased it. Okay? Option A, B, C, D, or E. Summary of the above paragraph. Scientific achievements are recorded in classics and textbooks. Different ways of looking at history can produce altogether different knowledge. The history of science can be inferred from finished scientific achievements. I'll take you back to the passage, Jayant. I'll take you back to the passage, Ansh. The image of science, the image that we have now is what we have from the study of scientific achievements recorded. We have an image of science as it has been recorded in textbooks and scientific achievements. Change the way you view the history of science and you change this image of science, is what he's saying. Change the way you look at the history of science and it will change the very image of science that you have. So given that, is it that history of science can be inferred from finished scientific achievement? Why not from textbooks then? Only finished scientific achievement he has not mentioned. He says you can get not the history of science, you can get the image of science that we have got from the history as given in finished scientific achievements and from textbooks. Even if it seems to be rather incomplete. Scientific achievements are recorded in classics and textbook. Does it summarize anything about transformation? What is the summary of a passage, Ansh? Summary should tell you the story of the passage. Okay, let's not look at the options. Please tell me what is the first sentence. If you simplify the first sentence, what is he saying? First sentence. What is the first sentence saying? And then what is the second sentence saying? History, okay, let me look at it. History is viewed as a repository of anecdotes and chronology. Correct? You need to change this view. Don't look at history just as a repository of whatever happened chronologically. Change that view. All right? Then it will change the image of science which you have now. Got it? If you change the way you view history, it will change the image of science that is there in your mind. Changing the way you view the history of science will change your view of science itself. First paragraph. Second, this image you have of science being a repository of only anecdotes and chronology of what happened is given from the study of finished scientists. So science history is nothing but a collection of finished scientific achievements, okay, recorded in the classics and textbooks. But this, which is what A is saying. But is that the summary? The summary of the passage should tell you the first part and second part. So, Ansh, if it is A, scientific achievements are recorded in classics and textbooks, true. Is that the main point of the author? No, he is going beyond that. Why is he saying the first part? So you need to change the way you are looking at scientific achievements as it is recorded in classics and textbooks. That means he is saying you have to look at history in a different way. A different perception of history can change the image, and he has changed that to knowledge, which is why all of you did, none of you marked B. That can change the image of history, science that you possess, or the knowledge, the perception, the view of science that you possess. Therefore, B summarizes part A and B. Got it? All right. Question 7. Easy one. Which of the following statements is the author most likely to agree with? This has to go in align with the main point of the passage, which you know already. What is the main point we've done in part A? Summary के साथ आपको main point पता चल गया. So what is the author saying? Two options are close. You need to struggle again. I don't know. Today I actually forgot. I sent the wrong document to make the PowerPoint today. So this was sent in the last minute. I sent something I'd already taken. I sent that document again. So then I realized I've sent the wrong document. Therefore, again in the last minute sent the right document. History of science presents a scientific way of looking at scientific development and thus contributes to progress in science. History of science should contain only the chronology of scientific achievements. More scientific theories result in more publications. Eliminate options from words and expressions which are not there in the passage. Then you'll get the right idea. Has the author talks only of the chronology of scientific achievements? Anecdotes and chronology, and he didn't say what it should contain, so B is eliminated. C, did he say the more you should have a lot of scientific theories, you should have lot of publications, benefits? Publishers के बारे में बोला ही नहीं, so that is out. History of science should be purposely present different images of science to people. All right, so is it A or is it E? Evel 79 says E. Is it A or E? I have eliminated B, C and D for you. E, why not A? Alright, did he say anything about how science progresses, or is this transform the way you look at science? Alright, excellent. Alright, now we come to another critical reasoning question. I have highlighted this Otherwise, if you miss this, you will get the question wrong. Nature lovers are attracted to forests and nature parks. Just look at the number of people visiting Corbett National Park. Which of the following exhibits a pattern of reasoning least dissimilar to the one exhibited in the argument? True. Out of context, true. Least dissimilar means what? Which one is most similar? That's what you need to look at. Double negative. Least dissimilar means which reasoning is similar to the one used in the passage. What do you do for parallel reasoning? Mimic the reasoning questions. First, find out what kind of reasoning he has given here. Nature lovers are attracted to forests and natural parks. This is the author's conclusion. On what basis has he drawn the conclusion? On the basis of a fact. What fact? Number of people visiting Corbett National Park. Alright, now look at where he has given evidence and then drawn a conclusion. Which one has the same line of reasoning as that one? And give me the answer. Defense personnel who are trained in extremely rigorous procedures often end up as dysfunctional members of society. Hence, if an officer is not trained rigorously, such an officer is more likely to be useful to society. So, he has given a fact and then he has given a suggestion or drawn a conclusion from it. So, not this. Why the question mark? Evil. Why the question mark? Tell me the answer without the question mark. Are you sure? This machinery has increased the work efficiency of workers. As a result, some of the workers are surplus to the company, not the same line of reasoning. C, he has given fleas must thrive, which is the same as forests and nature parks must attract nature lovers. Why? Because a specific example has been given. I chose an easy question for my mimic the reasoning. If the line of reasoning is longer, if A happens then B happens, but look at what's happened, therefore D happened. Please look at the original argument and understand the line of logic of the original argument. Then you can get the answer clearly. The key is to understand the line of reasoning of the original argument. Alright. Weaken. Undermine means weaken. Underpin means strengthen or focus. Alright. Undermine means to weaken. So, there is nothing so stupid as an educated man if you can get him off the thing he was educated in. Alright. So, what does this sentence mean? Say it in 4 or 5 ways. So, you understand exactly what the author is saying is stupid. There's nothing so stupid as an educated man if you can get him off the thing he was educated in. Which of the following, if true, undermines or weakens the author's contention? True education implies a well-rounded exposure to major subjects. An educated man will not discuss things which he does not understand. The cost of a general education has led to the unfortunate fact that a person's education is confined to one field. Stupidity, like intelligence, is relative and therefore depends on the intelligence of the person's peer. Education is one of the main causes of people recognizing their capabilities and developing them further. Read what the author is saying. What is the meaning of this? Getting him off the thing he was educated in means what? You are educated in engineering. You decide to go for MBA. You are a mechanical engineer. There is nothing so stupid as a man if you can get him off the thing he was educated in, assuming this and this had no connection. That is what he is saying. Okay, so if you do something than what you were educated in, that is stupid. Which one says it is not stupid to do that? Okay, I've seen answers for D and B. Stupidity is relative, is not. If it was the definition of stupidity, then yes, this may undermine it. He is not defining stupidity. He is saying stupidity is getting away from the thing, going out from your mainstream of education and doing something else. That's what he is saying. So where would you say that you've been educated in one field and doing something, getting away from that field in which you are educated? Then all of us are stupid. Most of us are stupid. All right. Which one here says, no, that is not stupid? If you study in one and you get off that field and do something else, there's nothing wrong with that. That's good actually. Okay, it's not D. An educated man, he doesn't say if you discuss things that you haven't been educated in, right? Cost of a general education means, so this one is actually strengthening it that you have to be educated in one field and stick to it. No, the actual education is diversity. You should be jack of all trades. That's what they asked once. Jack of all trades is the call of the hour, the need of the day. And then somebody said, yes, jack of all trades, but also master of one instead of master of none. Got it? One says, no, no, no. True education is one which explores various fields. And if you really look at the great philosophers and scientists of the past, they were all good at various subjects. One example of an author, and there is constant argument about this, about two people, Shakespeare and Arthur Conan Doyle. Right? Shakespeare wrote so well about nature, about so many things that they said like, and some people argue that he was not even educated. Okay? That he didn't have a proper education. All right, next. Right? So, in CR, remember, understanding the argument is the best. Let's look at one FIB where the choice of words is based on commonly confused words. You can get two types. Fill in the blanks based just on usage, which you know we've done a lot of that type of fill in the blanks. You can just pick up any sentence from the newspaper and you have it. Where you have to understand the intended meaning of the author. If there is a but there, if there is a however there, if there is a furthermore there, what exactly should the second word be? But the other one is which is one based on confused, commonly confused sentence words. Homonyms, homophones, every particular word that you get confused about is put in here. While no one made any dash, the financial scandal while he was in the room, there was a feeling of awe to the dash created by the broker that had snared many unsuspecting investors under the dash that everyone would end up rich, and the fact that he'd been celebrating his dash of the legal authorities by attending parties. While no one made any dash to the financial scandal while he was in the room, there was a feeling of awe to the dash created by the broker that had snared, trapped many unsuspecting investors under the dash that everyone would end up rich, and the fact that he'd been celebrating his dash of the legal authorities by attending parties. Tanuj thinks it's C. No one made any allusion to the financial scandal. Allusion means reference. Actually, It means indirect reference, but okay. Allusion means reference or indirect reference. There was a feeling of delusion नहीं होगा. Created by the, he created a delusion, correct, but it cannot be there was a feeling of delusion, there was a feeling of awe to the delusion created. There was a feeling of awe to the illusion, the image that he created. You have fallen in love with the image that he has created, and that is the illusion created by the broker that had snared many unsuspecting investors under the delusion. They were under the false impression that everyone would end up rich. He was celebrating his elude. To elude means to evade. So illusion means evasion. So he was celebrating, the tax authorities are not, the legal authorities are not able to catch me. And he was celebrating his illusion of the legal authorities by attending parties. All right. All right. So the answer is E. All right. Now grammar. There is actually one wrong sentence and one imperfect sentence here. Please choose the wrong sentence. Imperfections are accepted by XAT, I assume. This is a past year XAT question. You have to, well, when I looked at it, I thought these two are wrong. Awkward one is because we were taught something about a particular usage of a word. But as I said, something that is outright wrong, we will mark that. Something that's imperfect but chalega, many people use it, so it's okay, I guess. I've deliberately given the question, so I tell you the difference between this. There is one sentence which is grammatically fully incorrect. Another which is also considered incorrect by me, but XAT had allowed it as correct. It's okay. Permissible though not perfect. Which one is wrong? Bats are able to fly in the dark. Bats can fly in the dark. Bats have the ability to fly in the dark. Bats cannot fly in the dark if it rains. Bats have the ability of flying in the dark if it doesn't rain. Which is wrong according to you? Which one sounds bad to the ear? Two will sound awkward to the ear. Which sounds totally wrong? Tell me. Quick. We are overshooting the time limit by quite a bit, but it's okay. Kunal, something that is A and E both sound wrong. Okay, excellent. Now, which is more wrong? Can I ask you that? Which do you think is more wrong, if there is such a thing? A and E, both, I agree totally. What is wrong with this? I had to speak in 15, 20 or 30 public debates before I was able to finally overcome my stage fright. So, are able to is actually not correct. Can is correct. But have the ability of flying is also wrong. So, the answer is, oh, if it does not rain is correct. Not they do not rain. A is still acceptable, but if you are given this for sentence correction, that also is not okay. Alright, but this is wrong. Okay, we don't say they are able to do it. Ability has to do when you prove a capability. Okay, I can swim 5 miles. Okay, it was just by dint of luck that I was able to reach the shore. Okay, so able to is used for something that was achieved as a result of your capability generally. Alright. If it rains and if it does not rain, what is wrong with it? If it rains and if it doesn't rain, both are correct. Agar barish hota hai, bats cannot fly or bats can fly. That part is nothing. Have the ability to fly, not of flying. Okay. Alright. Last question of the set. Easy one, very easy one. Only it looks big, okay? They're like those golden retrievers and Labradors. You look at them from far away, you'll say a big dog is approaching. But they're so cute and so friendly, right? Yeah, so between two bad options, we had to choose one. But I gave it so that ability is generally capability you use as can. Ability for an achievement, something I was able to do it finally. Okay, after struggling with the DI question for 5 minutes, I was able to solve it. मैंने कर लिया. So for an achievement, you say that. I can solve maths questions, but this particular question challenged me. After working with it for half an hour, I was finally able to solve it. Which relative pronoun is correct? D is correct. Excellent. All right, all of you. All right, so make sure you attend our classes, attend our, at least are connected with us on our social network channel so that you know what sessions are on. Do join us on the 7th for first impressions and analysis of the XAT test. All the best to all of you. Just keep calm. You've learnt everything. Just need to strategize properly, do each section properly, but our mocks must have given you more than enough time to figure out which strategy works best for you. Correct extra time to your favorite section. All right, and you've done essay writing also. Do remember that if you make it, your essay becomes important. So it's not a question of if you make it, I am going to make it. So my essay will be read and then you write. All right, I will see you again very soon. Until then, bye-bye. I think tomorrow I have a decision-making class. All right, till then I will do. Thank you. Okay, Jayant, I want to see great marks in the exam too. Okay, just keep cool, keep calm and do it. It's your effort, not thanks to me, thanks to you and your efforts. We only polish the diamonds. You all are the diamonds. We only guide you and tell you, अच्छा ये question आया तो this is the answer. All right, all the best. Bye bye.